O1. Extension, education, extension, meaning. The word extension is derived from the Latin roots, ex, meaning, out, and tensio, meaning, stretching. Stretching out is the meaning of extension. The word extension came to be used originally in USA during 1914, which means a branch of a university for students who cannot attend the university proper. In other words, the word extension signifies an out-of-school system of education. Education is an integral part of extension. The basic concept of extension is that it is education. Extension means that type of education which is stretched out to the people in rural areas, beyond the limits of the educational institutions to which the formal type of education is normally confined. Education, it is the production of desirable changes in knowledge, things known, attitude, things felt, and skills, things done, either in all or one or more of human behavior. Basic definitions related to extension. Extension education is an applied social science consisting of relevant content derived from physical, biological and social sciences and in its own process synthesized into a body of knowledge, concepts, principles and procedures oriented to provide non-credit out-of-school education largely for adults. Paul Legans, 1971. Extension service refers to a program for agricultural development and rural welfare which usually employs the extension process as a means of program implementation. Extension process is that of working with rural people through out-of-school education along those lines of their current interest and need which are closely related to gaining a livelihood, improving the physical level of living of rural families and fostering rural community welfare. Scope of extension education. Extension appears to have unlimited scope in situations where there is need for creating awareness amongst the people and changing their behavior by informing and educating them. Kelsey and Hearn, 1967, identified 9 areas of program emphasis which indicate the scope of agricultural extension. 1. Efficiency in agricultural production. 2. Efficiency in marketing, distribution and utilization. 3. Conservation, development and use of natural resources. 4. Management on the farm and in the home. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. 5. Family living. 6. Youth development. 7. Leadership development. 8. Community development and rural area development. 9. Public affairs. Extension is an integral part of agricultural and rural development programs in India. The progress in production which has been achieved in agriculture, horticulture, animal husbandry, veterinary, fishery, social forestry, sericulture etc. may be thought of as proportional to the strength of extension service of the relevant government departments. The following statements will further amplify the scope of extension. 1. Extension is fundamentally a system of out-of-school education for adults and youths alike. It is a system where people are motivated through a proper approach to help themselves by applying science in their daily lives, in farming, homemaking and community living. 2. Extension is education for all village people. 3. Extension is bringing about desirable changes in the knowledge, attitudes and skills of people. 4. Extension is helping people to help themselves. 5. Extension is working with men and women, boys and girls, to answer their felt needs and wants. 6. Extension is teaching through, learning by doing, and seeing is believing. 7. Extension is working in harmony with the culture of the people. 8. Extension is a two-way channel. It brings scientific information to village people and it also takes the problems of the village people to the scientific institutes for solution. 9. Extension is working together, in groups, to expand the welfare and happiness of the people with their own families, their own villages, their own country and the world. 10. Extension is development of individuals in their day-to-day living, development of their leaders, their society and their world as a whole. The need for extension arises out of the fact that the condition of the rural people in general, and the farm people in particular, has got to be improved. There is a gap between what is the actual situation and what ought to be the desirable situation. This gap has to be narrowed down mainly by the application of science and technology in their behavior. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. According to Supe, 1987, the researchers neither have the time nor are they equipped for the job of persuading the villagers to adopt scientific methods and to ascertain from them the rural problems. Similarly, it is difficult for all the farmers to visit the research stations and obtain first-hand information. Thus, there is need for an agency to interpret the findings of the research to the farmers and to carry the problems of the farmers to research of solution. This gap is filled by the extension agency. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. O2. Sociology and rural sociology. Sociology. Literally, sociology means the study of the processes of companionship and may be defined as the study on the basis of social membership. No definition could entirely be satisfactory because of the diversity of perspective which is characteristic of the modern discipline. However, the definition for sociology according to various authors is given below for better and comprehensive understanding. 1. Sociology is the study of human beings in their group relations. As such, it studies the interaction within and between groups of people. Chitimba. 2. Sociology in its broadest sense may be said to be the study of interactions arising from the association of living beings. Gillen and Gillen. 3. Sociology is the science which attempts the interpretive understanding of social man. Max Weber. Sociology seeks to discover the principles of cohesion and order within the social structure, the ways in which it roots and grows within an environment, the moving equilibrium of changing structure and changing environment, the main trends of the incessant change, the forces which determine its directions as any time, the harmonies and conflicts, the adjustments and maladjustments within the structure as they are revealed in the light of human desires and thus the practical application of means to ends in the creative activities of social man. Rural sociology. Rural sociology is the science of rural society. The laws of the structure and development of rural society in general can aid us in discovering the special laws governing a particular society. Rural sociology is the study of sociological life in rural setting to discover their conditions and tendencies and to formulate principles of progress. AR. Desai rural sociology involves the study of human relationships in rural situations. Scope of rural sociology. Each village in India lived almost an independent self-sufficient social and economic existence. That was the unique agrarian socio-economic structure of India. This self-sufficiency was disrupted in British period by foreign rulers. In social life, the joint family systems, the caste, the village panchayat were gradually replaced by British laws, e.g., revenue, judicial, executive etc. Introduction of modern communication and transport accelerated the above process. Every aspect of village life, social, economic, political and visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. Cultural experienced a steady transformation. Thus changes made an agrarian economy into an acute crisis. The rural sociology studies the various problems concerning the rural society and rural life. The problems that fall within the scope of the study of the rural sociology are I. Rural social life. Rural sociology, as the name itself indicates, is the scientific study of the rural social life. It studies the rural society of rural life in all its aspects. In fact, this basic thing is the subject matter or scope of rural sociology. E. Rural social organizations. While studying the rural society, rural sociology makes a study of all the problems of various rural social organizations such as Red Cross Society, cooperative movement, etc. E. Rural social institutions. No study of rural sociology shall be complete unless the rural social institutions like family, neighborhood, marriage, caste, religion, economic and educational institutions are studied. IV. Rural social process. In rural society, different process like cooperation, competition, etc. will go on. The study of rural society shall not be complete unless all these social processes are studied thoroughly and properly in a scientific manner. B. Social control and social change in rural social setup. While studying the rural environment and complexities of the rural social setup, the factors of social control and social change have to be studied properly. They can be studied under rural sociology. The urban life influences the rural life. This in fact is very much responsible for social change. Factors of social control and social change form part of the scope of the study of rural sociology. B. Rural planning and reconstruction. The rural society needs reconstruction. It has to be done in a planned manner. Proper guidance is provided by the scientific study of the rural sociology is to provide guidance to the institutions that are engaged in the task of rural reconstructions and planning of rural society. Therefore, the rural planning and reconstructions form a subject matter of the study of rural sociology. B. Religion and culture in rural society. In rural society, religion plays an important role. Cultural difference in rural society is typical. Rural sociology studies all the aspects of religion and culture in the rural social setup. B. Rural problems and rural community. Rural problems have to be viewed not from an isolated angle but from a comprehensive point of view. Problems of the rural community are a part of the problems of the society as a whole and they have to be viewed in this very context. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books, etc. X. Difference between rural and urban society. The study of rural society shall not be complete unless the difference that exists between rural society and the urban society is studied in a proper and scientific manner. Thus, rural sociology studies the village society, so its scope is very wide. Government agencies, scientists, welfare organizations, etc. are now focusing their attention on the development of rural society. Thus, it becomes necessary for any development worker, scientist, administrator and planner to study the rural societies. Further, countries which has agriculture as main occupation must have the well-established rural sociology faculties. India has been described as a country of villagers. In India, about 75% of the population lives in about 6 million villages. After independence, both the central and state governments are launching many rural development programs and there is wider scope for rural sociology in India. Importance of rural sociology. For India, rural sociology is more important than any other country. India is basically a country of villagers. After independence, the process of reconstruction of the country was started and therefore, the importance of rural sociology was recognized. If India is to achieve progress, the villages have to be improved and education has to be spread in these villages. That is why in community development program every attempt is being made to improve the villages of this country. This objective can be achieved only when the administrators and the planners have correct knowledge of the rural life and that knowledge can be provided only by rural sociology. That was the reason why it acquired greater importance in India after independence. Importance of rural sociology in extension education. The interrelationship between rural sociology and extension as given below will indicate the importance of rural sociology in extension education. S. No rural sociology. Extension 1. It is the scientific study of laws of the structure and development of rural society. It is informal education for rural people with a view to develop rural society on desirable lines. 2. It studies the attitude and behavior of rural people. It seeks to modify or change the attitude and behavior of village people. 3. It studies the needs and interests of rural society. It helps rural people to discover their needs and problems and builds educational programs based on these needs and wants. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books, etc. 4. It analyzes rural social relationship or groups or organizers and leaders in rural area. It utilizes the organizers and leaders to achieve the objectives of rural development. 5. It studies social situation and assembles social facts of rural society. It makes use of such social data as a basis for building up extension programs for rural people. 6. It investigates the social, cultural, political and religious problems of rural society. It also studies these problems with reference to their impact on extension work in village. From the above interrelationship between the rural sociology and extension education, one could understand that rural sociology will help the extension worker to make a correct diagnosis of the ills of the rural society and evolve a correct prescription or program to overcome these ills. Therefore, rural sociology is important in extension education and in turn to any rural development worker. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books, etc. 03. Indian rural society. Important characteristics of Indian rural society. Reddy, 1985, has stated the following as the characteristic of Indian rural society. 1. The village is the unit of the rural society. Its people carry on the business of living together within a distinctive framework of caste and social custom. Caste is a dominant social institution permeating social and economic relations. Traditional caste occupation mostly prevails. Cooperative labor of different castes is required not only for agro-economic activities but also for socio-religious life. The large villages have within its population all the occupational castes, have a comparatively more integrated and self-sufficient economic as well as socio-religious life than smaller villages. 2. The village is a social and cultural unit possesses a basically uniform organization and structure of values all over India. Many problems are common to the entire Indian countryside. 3. The ethnic, linguistic, religious and caste composition of a village largely determine its character and structure. Some villages of hamlets are inhabited almost exclusively by certain castes as in the case of agraharams for Brahmins. Even in a village with mixed population the different castes usually live in different sections of the same village. Inter-caste rivalries are present. 4. Women do not have full equality with men in several aspects of life. 5. Indian rural society is predominantly based on agriculture. Possession of land carries with its social and prestige value, besides being considered as an economic asset. In many villages, the land is mostly distributed between 2 or more castes, or among a few families, or between one big landowner and the rest of the community. Landless laborers and tenants constitute a considerable part of the population depending on agriculture. 6. Every village has its own organizational setup, authority and sanctions. It has its growing body, the panchayat, based on local tradition since long, but now constituted on a regular basis according to provisions of Panchayat Raj. 7. Social distance or isolation has a bearing on the nature of the organization of a village and of its view on the world. Availability of or nearness to modern means of transport or communications also modifies the setting and fabric of a village. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books, etc. 8. Village settlements are generally governed by certain regional and local traditions. The layout of the village, construction of the house, the dress, the speech, and manners follow the set pattern of the cultural area. Each village possesses an individual of its own. Some have a reputation for generosity, hospitality and fair play, while others are notorious for their meanness and corruption. Some villages are known for their cooperatives, while some are noted for their litigations and factions. The important characteristics of the Indian villager were summarized by Reddy, 1985, as hospitality, feminist traditionalism, fatalism, religiousness often combined with superstitious beliefs, leisure attitude to life, and low standard of living. Nevertheless, most villagers are capable to change and will respond to the teachers whom they trust even though their past sad experiences make them conservation and hopelessness about the future. They are eager to learn how to help themselves and they represent paternalism. Rural, urban differences and relationships. Environment affects human life to a greater extent. Human beings live in two different environments of rural and urban. Since there is difference in social life in both environments, it is of interest to know the differences. Further, extension workers are concerned themselves to rural environment, they must be in a position to differentiate the rural from urban environment. While comparing and contrasting, it has to be kept in mind that both the societies are the part of one human society. As a result of development, one particular society assumes the name of rural society while the other becomes urban society. The two societies are basically the same. The difference that exists between the two is of theoretical and academic than the real. No parameters or criteria. Rural, urban. 1. Occupation. Totality of cultivators and their families. Totality of people engaged principally in manufacturing, trade, commerce, profession and non-agricultural occupation. 2. Environment. Direct relationship with nature. Predominance of man-made environment. Greater isolation from nature. 3. Size of community. Rurality and size of community are not correlated. Urbanity and size of community is positively correlated. Visit iratoppers.com for agri study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books, etc. 4. Heterogeneity and homogeneity of population. Similarity in socio-psychological and other characteristics of population like behavior, belief, language, etc. More homogeneity, more heterogeneity. 5. Culture. 1. Quite conservative and tradition bound, free from conservation and tradition. 2. Guided by superstitions and age-old customs. They do not accept importance of scientific functions, free from superstitions and customs. They are influenced by the scientific inventions which bring about changes in everyday life. 6. Social stratification. It determines the status and role of individuals. Or differentiation or certain persons is superior to others. 1. Has the traditional system of stratifications. The society is divided into different strata on the basis of economic, social, political, educational and other factors. 2. Status is determined by birth. Status is not determined by birth, but on the economic, social, political, educational and other consideration. 3. Stratification is more or less static. It does not change. It changes with the changes in values. E.g., a person who is rich now may become poor tomorrow. So the status shall change. 4. Difference between the high and low is less. More. 7. Social mobility. 1. Lack social mobility. People do not change their place, occupation, religion, political view, etc. Have a lot of social mobility. 2. Wards. Generally carries the occupation of parents and the social status also thus remains more or less same. Occupation of wards is not necessarily that of the parents. 3. Occupation is determined by tradition and customs. Occupation differs according to skill. 8. Systems of interaction. 1. Less contact per man, numerous contacts. 2. Narrow area of interaction, wide area of contact. 3. More of primary contacts, predominance of secondary contacts. 4. Predominance of personal and relatively durable relations. Predominance of impersonal, casual and short-lived relations. Visit iratoppers.com for agri study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books, etc. 5. Comparatively simple and sincere relations. Greater complexity, superficiality and standardized formality of relations. 6. Man is interacted as a human person. Man is interacted as a number and address. 9. Social control. 1. Informal because of size of community, more formal because of more laws. 2. It is the primary institutions like family and neighborhood that control life in the society. Primary institutions have social control. There are secondary institutions like economic and other institutions that control social life. 10. Social change. The process of social change takes place at a very slow rate because of little competition. Social change is fast because there is a good deal of competition. 11. Social tolerance and family domination. 1. More tolerance because less tolerance because A. People do not face the new situation. People often face new situation. B. There is cultural uniformity, cultural variety. Scene. C. Lack of variety, neither different castes nor religions. Full of varieties. 2. Family is the most dominant institution. 2. Apart from family, other institution like economy dominates. 12. Status of women. 1. Inferior to men. On par with men. 2. Role confined to house, free to take part in outdoor activities. 3. Live with serious restrictions. They do not enjoy full freedom. On par with men, enjoy a good deal of freedom. 13. Neighborhood environment. 1. Have important place, not important. 2. Rural life is based on cooperation and mutual goodwill. That is why neighborhood is important. People have fairly convenient life. People belong to different communities, castes and places and so no institutions like neighborhood is built. 3. Neighborhood generally consists of same caste and economic status. That is why a good deal of cooperation and fellow feeling is seen. Belong to different economic status and caste so no cooperation is seen. 14. Leaders. Based on personal characters, more impersonal leaders. 15. Solidarity. Stronger, informal, less predominant. Visit iratoppers.com for agri study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books, etc. 16. Income. Less. More. 17. Sense of belongingness. More. Less. Sorokin and Zimmerman have summed the above differences as rural community is similar to calm water in a pail and urban life is like the boiling water in a kettle. Limitations in studying the differences. As it is discussed, the above differences are theoretical and academic than real. It is so because there are many limitations in differentiating the both. Some of the limitations in differentiation are: 1. There are no demarcation where urban, city ends and rural begins. 2. The parameters or criteria said above are not quantitative. 3. Changing characters create problems. The solidarity, belongingness, etc. are now reduced in rural areas. Due to communication of new ideas and extension facilities to rural areas, the gap between rural and urban is being narrowed down. However, the complete closure of this gap will not be possible in the near future. Visit iratoppers.com for agri study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books, etc. 04. Social groups. Social groups. Group is a unit of two or more individuals who are in reciprocal communication and interaction with each other. In the widest sense, the word group is used to designate a collection of items. The consideration of the following terms will give a clear concept of what we generally mean by a social group. A category means collection of items that have at least one common characteristic that distinguishes from other items which have other characteristics in common. A. Individuals between 15 and 20 years of age, for instance, are referred to as an age group. E. Aggregation is a collection of individuals in physical proximity of one another, e.g., cinema audience, spectators of a football game. There may be some interaction between the individuals in an aggregation, but it is generally of a temporary nature and lacks definite pattern of organization. Interaction will be normally lacking. E. Potential group is a group made up of number of people having some characteristics common but does not possess any recognizable structure. A potential group may become a real group if it becomes organized and comes to have union or organization. Students form a potential group as long as they have no union, but once they become organized, they form a social group. IV. Social group is a collection of two or more individuals in which there are psychological interactions and reciprocal roles based upon durable contacts, shared norms and interests, distinctive patterns of collective behavior and structural organization of leadership and followership. Social group definition according to different authors. Bagadas. It is a number of units anything in close proximity to one another. MacIver. Any collection of human beings who are brought into social relationships with one another. Sheriff and sheriff. A group is a social unit which consists of number of individuals who stand in, more or less, definite status and role relationships to one another and which possess a set of values or norms of its own, regulating the behavior of individual members at least in matters of consequence to the group. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. Williams. A social group is a given aggregate of people, playing interrelated roles and recognized by themselves or others as a unit. Of interaction. Meaning of group. A social group is a collection of individuals, two or more, interacting with each other, who have common set of objectives, participate in similar activities. Characteristics of social group. 1. Relationship. Members of group are interrelated to each other. Reciprocal relations form an essential feature of a group. 2. Sense of unity. The members of the group are united by a sense of unity and a feeling of a sympathy. 3. We feeling. The members of a group help each other and defend their interests collectively. 4. Common interest. The interests and ideas of the group are common. It is for the realization of common interests that they meet together. 5. Similar behavior. The members of a group behave in a similar way for the pursuit of common interest. 6. Group norms. Every group has its own rules or norms which the members are supposed to follow. One must remember that social group is dynamic and not static. It changes its form and expands its activities from time to time. Sometimes the changes may be swift and sudden, while at other times it may occur so gradually that its members are unaware of it. Occasions for group formation. I. Physiological kinship. E. Marriage. E. Religion. IV. Common language versus neighborliness. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. V. Occupational or economic interests. V. Attainment of some occasions like school, profession, club etc. V. Common dangers. X. Mutual aid and so on. Classification of group. Social groups have been classified in various ways by different authors. 1. According to Dwight Sumderson. He suggested a threefold classification of social group by structure as involuntary, voluntary and delegate groups. A. Involuntary group is based on kinship such as family. A man has no choice to what family he will belong. B. Voluntary group is one which a man joins of his own volition. He agrees to be a member of it and is free to withdraw at any time from its membership. C. Delegate group is one which a man joins as a representative of a number of people either elected by them or nominated by some power. Parliament is a delegate group. 2. According to Tonies. He classified the groups into communities and associations. Both these groups are already defined and discussed. 3. According to Cooley. Cooley classified the groups on the basis of kind of contact into primary and secondary groups. In a primary group there is face-to-face and intimate relationship such as in the family. In the secondary group such as a political party the relationships are indirect, secondary or impersonal. These groups are defined and discussed separately. 4. According to F. H. Giddings classifies groups into genetic and congregate groups. Genetic group is a family in which a man is born involuntarily. The congregate group is the voluntary group into which one moves or joins voluntarily. The social group according to him may also disjunctive or overlapping. The disjunctive group is one which does not allow a person to be a member of other groups at the same time, e.g., college or nation which do not allow their members to be the members of other colleges or nations at the same time. An overlapping group is one whose members also belong to other groups of the same type such as Indian Political Science Association. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. 5. According to George Hassan. He classified the groups on the basis of their relationships to other groups into unsocial, pseudo-social, antisocial and pro-social. Unsocial group is one which largely lives to itself and for itself and does not participate in the larger society of which it is a part. It does not mix up with other groups and remains aloof from them. Pseudo-social group participates in the larger social group but mainly for its gain and not for the greater good. Antisocial group is one that acts against the interest of society. A group of students that destroys public property is antisocial group. Similarly, a political party that plan to overthrow a popular government is antisocial. Pro-social group is the reverse of antisocial. It works for the larger interests of the society. It is engaged in constructive tasks and concerned with increasing the welfare of all the people. 6. According to Sorokin. Sorokin divided the social groups into horizontal and vertical groups. Horizontal groups are large, inclusive of groups such as nations, religions, organization, political parties etc. Vertical groups are small divisions such as economic classes. Since the vertical group is a part of the horizontal group, the larger group, an individual is member of both. 7. According to Charles A. Elwood he distinguished among I. Involuntary and voluntary groups E. Institutional and non-institutional groups E. Temporary and permanent groups 8. According to Leopold he classified groups into I. Crowd E. Groups in E. Abstract collectives 9. According to Park and Burgers. They distinguished the groups as territorial and non-territorial groups. 10. Lars Gillen and Philip Gillen, they classified the groups on the basis of 1. Blood relationship. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. E. Bodily characteristics E. Physical proximity and IV. Culturally derived interests 11. According to Summer. He classified the group as in-group and out-group. In-group is the group with which the individual identifies himself, his family, tribe, sex, college, occupation, religion, etc. by virtue of his awareness of likeness. It has inclusion of some persons and exclusion of other persons. It has the collective pronoun, we. It has some sympathy and a sense of attachment to other members of the group. Out-group is defined in contrast between they and we, like we are Democrats and they are communists. We are Hindus and they are Muslims. We are Brahmins and they are Nadars. Such attitudes that these are my people and that those are not my people produce a sense of attachment to other members in group, while a sense of indifferences and even antagonism to the members of out-group. Primary and secondary group. They are distinguished from each other with their type of social contact and degree of formal organization. In the primary group there is face-to-face association, contacts are personal, individuals live close to one another socially and do not need the formal framework of a constitution to achieve their purpose. Members of a family, a neighborhood, friend circle are good examples of primary group. In this type members are loyal to one another because of personal regards and the sharing of many interests. The secondary group is larger, more formal, specialized and indirect in its contact. Characteristics of primary group I. Physical proximity. Close proximity because they are close to each other E. Small size. Intimate and personal E. Stability. To have intimate relationship the primary group should be stable to some extent IV. Similarity of background. Each member come from equally experienced, intelligent, etc. B. Self-interest. They have limited self-interest V. Intensity of shared interests in primary group common interests are shared by every member V. Association. Close and there is face-to-face contact. Visit. iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. The face-to-face contact does not mean that it exerts a compelling influence over its members. Difference between primary and secondary groups is no characteristic. Primary group. Secondary group 1. Size. Small. Widespread 2. Kind of. Cooperation with other members. Is. Direct. Members. Sit. Together. Discuss together and decide together. Cooperation is indirect and less. Members cooperate to achieve common goals and objectives. 3. Type of structure. Informal structure. There is spontaneous adjustment in working of the group. No formal or detailed rules. The structure is simple. Formal structure. Regulated by formal. Authority. Secondary. Group. Is therefore carefully worked out. 4. Relationship. Direct. Intimate and personal. Face-to-face. Indirect. Less intimate and impersonal. Need to have face-to-face contact. Visit. iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. 05. Culture. Culture has been defined in number of ways. Some of these definitions are given below. 1. To Sorokin, culture stands for the moral, spiritual and intellectual attainments of man. 2. David Bidney defines the culture as the self-cultivation of the natural geographical environment. He says that culture is a product of agrofacts, products of cultivation, artifacts, products of industry, sociofacts, social organization, and manufacts, language, religion, art, etc. 3. According to MacIver, culture is the expression of our nature in our modes of living and our thinking, intercourse in our literature, in religion, in recreation and enjoyment. In sociology, the word culture is used to denote acquired behaviors, which are shared by and transmitted among the members of the society. The essential point in culture is that it is acquired by man as a member of society and persists through tradition. Characteristics of culture I. Culture is an acquired quality. Culture is not innate. Traits learned through socialization, habits and thoughts are called as culture. Culture is learned. E. Culture is social and not individual heritage of man. It is inclusive of the expectations of the members of the groups. It is a social product. E. Culture is idealistic. Culture embodies the ideas and norms of the group. It is the sum total of the ideal patterns and norms of behavior of a group. IV. Culture is the total social heritage. Culture is linked with past. The past endures because it lives in culture. It is passed from one generation to another through tradition and customs. B. Culture fulfills some needs. Culture fulfills those ethical and social needs of the groups which are ends in themselves. B. Culture is an integrated system. Culture possesses order and system. Its various parts are integrated with each other and any new element which is introduced is also integrated. Visit. iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. B. Language is the chief vehicle of culture. Man lives not only in the present but also in the past and future. He is enabled to do because he possesses language which transmits to him what was learnt in the past and enables him to transmit the accumulated wisdom. Ethnocentrism. It is the tendency of a society to consider its own culture as best and others as inferiors. It is a feeling whereby the natives come to despise foreigners and feel superior to them. Functions of culture. Culture is important for individual and group. So one has to consider the functions of culture under two heads. A. For individual and B. For groups. Importance to the individual I. Culture makes man a human being, regulates his conduct and prepares him for group life. It provides him a complete design of living. It teaches him what type of food he should take and in what manner, how he should behave with and influence the people and how he should cooperate or compete with others. In short, the qualities required to live in a social life are acquired by man from his culture. E. Culture provides solutions for complicated situations. Culture provides man with a set of behavior even for complicated situations. Culture thoroughly influences him so that he does not require any external force to keep himself in conformity with social requirements. His actions become automatic, e.g., forming a queue where there is a rush. E. Culture provides traditional integrations to certain situations, e.g., if a cat crosses his way he postpones the journey. These traditional interpretations differ from culture to culture. Visit. iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. For the group I, culture keeps social relationships intact. Culture is important not only for man but also for the group. Had there been no culture there would have been no group life. By regulating the behavior of people and satisfying their primary drives pertaining to hunger, shelter, and sex it has been able to maintain group life. In fact life would have been poor, nasty, brutish and short if there had been no cultural regulations. It is culture which keeps all social relations intact. E. Culture broadens the vision of the individual. Culture has given a new vision to the individual by providing him a set of rules for the cooperation of the individuals. It provides him the concepts of family, state, nation and class and makes possible the coordination and division of labor. E. Culture creates new needs. Culture creates new needs and new drives, for example, thirst for knowledge and arranges for their satisfaction. It satisfies the aesthetic, moral and religious interests of the members of the group. In this way group owe much to culture. Cultural diffusion. Cultural diffusion is the processes by which the cultural traits invented or discovered in one society are spread directly or indirectly to other societies. Exact origin of a specific cultural trait is difficult to trace, however, the diffusion of a trait can fairly be traced. In history certain societies have served as centers from which cultural traits have spread to other societies. Egypt was for many centuries a cultural center. Subsequently Rome was a great cultural center from where Roman law spread in most countries of Europe. In Asia the Chinese kingdom was considered from early time as the dominant culture center. Around 14th century Western Europe became the dominant culture center. Now, the United States is exporting its culture to other countries. Following are the influential factors to the process of diffusion. A. Relation and communication. B. Need and desire for new traits. C. Competition with old traits. D. The respect and recognition of those who bring new traits. Cultural diffusion may be incidental or bidirectional. Wherever a person migrates from one culture area to another he carried culture patterns with him. Cultural diffusion by direction is normally done either by sending missionaries or by colonization. Visit. iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. Cultural lag. Cultural lag means that some parts of people's culture do not change as do other traits. It means that one or more phases of culture have moves ahead and that all other phases are lagging behind. Marginal man. Difference in culture produces a marginal man. A person who is living in two cultures is likely to occupy not the center of either but by the margins of both. He is the man who belongs to two or more cultures but is not fully accepted in any. A migrant, who has moved into a decidedly different culture area from the one in which he grew to manhood, is likely to be marginal man. Customs. Customs are socially prescribed forms of behavior transmitted by tradition. Customs regulates the whole of man's action, his bathing, washing, cutting his hair, eating, drinking etc. Customs are well established and difficult to change. Classification of customs I. Folkways and usage E. Mores and taboos E. Conventions and IV. Rituals I. Folkways and usage. They are approved forms of behavior for specific situations. This is the expected way in which persons are to behave. It arises without prior intention, e.g., petty acts. Observations of folkways is not a must. So violation of folkways are not punished severely. Conventions are customs regulating more significant social behavior. Wearing clothes in public, polite to others, eating using knife, fork and spoon instead of hand, fingers. People care for the adoption. Conventions are less violated than folkways. Mores and taboos. The difference between folkways and mores is the degree to which they are enforced. Visit iratoppers.com. For agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. Folkways may be broken without punishments but mores broken will be punished. Mores are defined as those of folkways which are essential to ethical or moral values of people. Mores are positive action enforcing what ought to be done, e.g., saluting the flag, standing during the playing of national anthem. Taboos are negative action envisaging what ought not to be done, e.g., not smoking in front of elders. IV. Rituals. It is the pattern of behavior or ceremonies, which has become the customary way of dealing with certain situations, e.g., performing the marriage ceremonies. Characteristics of culture I. It provides a series of patterns whereby the biological demands of the group members can be met, e.g., for subsistence, shelter and reproduction. E. It provides a set of rules to ensure the cooperation of the individual of a group in adjusting to the environmental situations. E. It provides channels of interaction for the individuals within the group. IV. Culture provides methods of adjustment of the group to its external and internal needs. B. For individuals in a society, culture provides a ready-made adjustments to a number of situations and B. A series of familiar stimuli to the individual, to which he has only to respond in a familiar way. Role of culture in agriculture. Learning the customs, folkways, mores, taboos, etc. of a group of people will help one to predict what they will do in a given situation. Without such predictability, expectations of what the other would do in a given situation, the result would be a chaos in society. Culture is not a static but dynamic, because of internal and external forces. Development program are such external force which changes the culture of the society. Hence, it is important for an extension worker to understand this fact. The scientific understanding of the culture of the people among whom extension worker operates is basic to the effective performance of his function, e.g., if caste structure is there in the village, study the caste system and function. Visit iratoppers.com. For agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. Functions of culture I. Culture provides a series of patterns whereby the biological demands of the group members can be met, example for sustenance, shelter and reproduction. E. Culture provides a set of rules to ensure the cooperation of the individuals of a group in adjusting to the environmental situation. The group is thus able to act in certain situation as a unit. E. Culture provides channels of interaction for the individuals within the group. IV. Culture provides methods of adjustment of the group to its external and internal needs. It provides a pattern for the development of the individual. B. For the individual in a society, culture provides a ready-made adjustments to a number of situations and B. A series of familiar stimuli to the individual to which he has only to respond in a familiar way. All the functions are controlled through norms or rules made in society. Visit iratoppers.com. For agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. 06. Social values and attitudes. Social value. The function of extension is to bring about desirable changes in the behavior of people. The overt behavior or what we call as action is based on attitude. Unlike action, attitude cannot be seen. They can only be inferred by way of tendency to act or react positively or negatively to some stimuli. These tendencies or attitudes in turn are based upon individuals' values. Social values are ideas which help an individual to discriminate whether a particular object or behavior is good or bad, desirable or undesirable. There are at times rules which govern the action which is known as norms. People are expected to behave in accordance with the values held by the individual and in the expected behavior which is known as normative behavior. SC Dude defined the value as desiderata, i.e., anything desired or chosen by someone, sometime. In broad sense, value may be considered as attitude-related attribute that are projected upon people, objects and situations. Since values sometimes gives orientation or striving towards a given goal, it can be viewed as motives. Socio-psychological determinants of values. People will be eager to change and many times they accept changes when changes give prestige to them and or increase their socio-economic changes. Though change is common, every individual will not accept changes. Only some individuals accept the changes. An analysis of factors that influences the changes was studied by Reddy, 1987. They are caste of the individual, age, possession of land and type of tenure, wealth and economic position, hard work and physical stamina, personal characteristics like truthfulness, honesty, reliability etc. These factors have obvious implications in the introduction of improved practices. Type of values. Value may be classified in different ways. Frankel, 1976, classified as moral value. Deciding particular alternative as better than other because of it's just or more humane. Real value. Deciding based on real worth in terms of legal, aesthetic, etc. Market value. Based on how much can be paid, value in terms of price. Visit iratoppers.com. For agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. Personal value. Based on one's likes and preferences over things of similar nature. Instrumental value based on some standards that help us to achieve or acquire other values. Spranger classified as theoretical value. Expressed in the urge for discovery of truth. Economic value. Based on the criterion of usefulness, aesthetic value. Based around form and harmony, social value. Referring to interest of people on others, political value. Central round power, religious value. Meaning thereby a mystic sense of utility. Major values prevailing. 1. Importance of described status. Status of individual in a group is decided by the group to which he belongs. There is an established order of hierarchy of castes in Indian society. 2. Recognition of inequality. Still exists on caste basis. 3. Patrilineal tendency. Eldest male member of the family has supreme power and tends to act automatically. 4. Status of women. Though there is tendency to give greater respect, they are still inferior to men. 5. Charity. There is religious significance and approval for giving of alms. A person with a charitable disposition is respected. 6. Tendency of non-violence. Killing of animals except for the purpose of food is considered to be immoral. It sometimes brings conflict. 7. Respect to old age and elders. They are generally given respect and recognition. 8. Religious attitude. People in rural areas are religious, desired new values. Visit iratoppers.com for agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. 1. Equal status to all. 2. Modification in marriage norms, education on intercaste marriage. 3. Charitable disposition. A. Donation irrespective of the eligibility of vagrants to be avoided and channelized to the needy and welfare institutions. 4. Attitude to non-violence. 5. Non-violence is to be rationalized. Animal spoiling food crops should be prohibited. 6. Respect for the elders and old and due consideration for the younger generation. 7. Religion and technology. Along with faith in religion, people have to develop faith in science and technology. Some of the values found out in farmers are 1. Profitability and productivity preference were the highest ranked values for the adoption of improved practices. 2. Scientificism was the lowest ranked value for farming. Various studies suggested that Indian farmers are profit-minded. They aim for higher profit and greater productivity. Role of values of agricultural extension. We have already seen that culture of the people is changing and it is dynamic. The development workers or extension workers are the major strongest forces to bring changes in the culture of rural India. In fact, community development programs are the promotion of cultural changes among rural people towards desired goals. Accepted on that irrespective of the involvement of extension workers, the changes happen. But the desired changes in the direction deemed desirable by the government in the rural society only when extension workers are involved, the change agents. Scientific understanding of culture of people among whom extension work operate helps the effective functioning by these workers. This is particularly significant in countries like India. For instance, piggery is not introduced in Muslim areas, poultry farming in Brahmin areas, and the like. Thus, the study on caste structure would reveal certain types of improvements of change. Religious festivals and other local functions form important part of village life. Extension workers can look upon these festivals and meals as potentially useful for technology transfer through exhibition, demonstration, etc. It is generalized that greater success may be anticipated when a new improved practice is introduced in familiar terms, something that is already present in the culture. Visit iratoppers.com for agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. Change is more likely to occur where there is lack of adjustment. For example, when village fields are wiped out by flood or fire, that would be the right opportunity to introduce a technology. Several model villages and model settlements have been established with little resistance on the part of people under such conditions. The point is not such calamities are desirable, but when they happen the full advantage can be taken up for development. Some of the recent high-yielding varieties of wheat and rice could not make headway due to the color of the wheat which is not liked by the buyers, poor cooking quality etc. When the extension workers bring this to the researcher's knowledge, the researcher would evolve new varieties which do not have these drawbacks. This is a good example of how the value factor can influence both the extension worker and researcher attitude. Attitudes involve some knowledge of a situation. However, the essential aspect of the attitude is found in the fact that some characteristic feeling or emotion is experienced and, as we would accordingly expect, some definite tendency to action is associated. Subjectively, then, the important factor is the feeling or emotion. Objectively, it is the response, or at least the tendency to respond. Attitudes are important determinants of behavior. If we are to change them, we must change the emotional components. Allport has defined attitude as a mental and neutral state of readiness organized through experience, exerting a directive or dynamic influence upon the individual's response to all objects with which it is related. A farmer may vote for a particular political party because he has been brought up to believe that it is right party. In the course of experience, he may learn something about the policies of that party. In that case, his attitude will probably change. As a result, he may be expected to vote in a different way. Knowledge, attitude and behavior are then very closely linked. Measuring attitudes, attitude scales. It is meant for scientific studies. Scales have been developed for measuring a great number of attitudes. Each scale consists of a group of statements related to a particular attitude. Some scales ask the person to respond by indicating whether he agrees or disagrees with each statement. Other scales ask the person to specify the degree of his agreement with a statement. The degree of agreement will be given predetermined values. Public opinion poll. A large number of people are asked only a question or two because they don't have much time to respond to many items. Visit iratoppers.com for agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. There are two major problems in public opinion poll: I. Wording of questions and E. Sampling. For the poll be accurate, the sample must be representative. For this we have to use stratified sampling. In stratified sampling, the polling agencies set quotas for certain categories of people based on census data. The most common categories are age, sex, socioeconomic status, and geographical region, all of which are known to influence opinions. By seeing to it that the quotas in the sample are in proportion to the categories in the general population, the sample is made more representative. Attitude change. Well-established attitudes tend to be resistant to change, but others may be more amenable to change. Attitudes can be changed by a variety of ways. Some of the ways of attitude change are as follows. 1. By obtaining new information from other people and mass media, resulting in changes in cognitive component of a person's attitudes. 2. Attitudes may change through direct experience. 3. Attitudes may change through legislation. 4. Since person's attitudes are anchored in his membership group and reference groups, one way to change the attitude is to modify one or the other. 5. Attitude change differs with reference to the situation also. Factors influencing the development of attitudes. I. Maturation. The young child has only a very limited capacity for understanding the world about him and he is consequently incapable of forming attitudes about remote, or complex, or abstract things or problems. At about a mental age of 12 years, the child begins to understand abstract terms such as pity and justice, and his capacity for both inductive and deductive reasoning shows a marked and continuous increase during adolescence. As a result of this growth in capacity, he becomes able to understand and react to more abstract and more generalized propositions, ideas and ideals. At the age of 4 or 5 years, 3 characteristics especially deserve mention. These are curiosity, centrosuggestibility, and independence. The child at this age is likely to express his curiosity by asking an endless series of questions. Visit iratoppers.com for agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. Adolescence is marked especially by the maturation of sex emotions and by the development of altruism and cooperativeness. These in large measure furnish the basis for the formation of attitudes that differentiate adults from children. Boys at the age of 12 years may have a distant interest in girls and they may even have crushes on particular girls, but their interest is quite different from what it will be some years later. 2. Physical factors. Clinical psychologists have generally recognized that physical health and vitality are important factors in determining adjustment, and frequently it has been found that malnutrition or disease or accidents have interfered so seriously with normal development that serious behavior disturbances have followed. 3. Home influences. It is generally accepted that attitudes are determined largely by social environmental and that home influences are especially important. 4. The social environment. The home environment is of primary importance in the formation of early attitudes, but friends, associates and the general social environment come to have an increasing influence as the child grows older, has wider social contacts. 5. Government. The form of the government seems to be an important factor in determining attitudes both towards government itself and towards other things. 6. Movie pictures. Attendance at movie pictures constitutes another important possible influence in determination of attitudes. Thurston concluded that films definitely change social attitudes, although only about 10% of the attitudes studied seem to be affected by movie attendance. 7. The teacher. Brown asked 300 graduate and undergraduate students in educational sociology to evaluate the various factors in their school experience that had been influential in the formation of personality and character traits. According to their judgment, the personalities of their teachers had been the most important single factor. 65.3% thought this influence had been good, but 33.3% thought it had been unfavorable. Only about 10% did not consider the teacher's influence as important. 8. The curriculum. Thorndike asked 155 teachers to rate 11 subjects and activities on the basis of. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. What they considered the value of these to be or the training of character. Teaching has the highest rank, but athletic sports come next. English literature and history have the best ranks for the regular school subjects. Mathematics and foreign languages are ranked much lower. This indicates that, in the opinion of this group of teachers, literature and the social sciences have more influence than other subjects on the determination of attitudes. This seems a reasonable view and it suggests that the units of work and the readings in these areas should be selected with particular reference to their probable influence on the attitudes formed by the students. 9. Peaking methods. One of the categories in Brown's study was manner of presentation of subject matter. This was judged to have a favorable effect by 8.0% of the students and an unfavorable effect by 17.7%. Development of attitude. Attitudes are not mere accidents of individual experience. They result from day-to-day living in home, in school, and in the community. Whatever attitude children develop can be traced, in part at least, to the effect upon them of teacher precept and example. The challenge to teacher is that of helping the learner retain his identity, develop his individuality and absorb a background of democratic culture. Theoretically, all education is aimed at helping learners develop to the full extent of their ability in those attitudes that fit them for living constructively in a democratic society. Attitudes are formed without direction and also by direction as the result of careful planning by a person or persons who desire to encourage the development of certain attitudes in others. One function of school is that of stimulating young people towards acquisition of attitudes that are individually and socially desirable. It is through initiation, emotional experience and deliberate efforts on the part of the individual himself, teacher, and other and new attitudes arise. Child is a great initiator and builds its most of attitudes in that way. Adolescent develops attitude by his enlarging adjustment problems with expanding groups. The environment to which he is exposed influences the attitude either desirable or undesirably. Radio, television, film and printed matter contribute to the attitude development. Thus, there are so many factors that influence the adults to develop attitudes. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. 07. Social institutions. Social institutions. Social institutions have been created by man from social relationships in society to meet such basic needs as stability, law and order and clearly defined roles of authority and decision making. Every organization is dependent upon certain recognized and established set of rules, traditions and usages. These usages and rules may be given the name of institutions. These are the forms of procedure which are recognized and accepted by society and govern the relations between individuals and groups. Definition. Woodward and Maxwell. An institution is a set of folkways and mores into a unit which serves a number of social functions. Horton. An institution is an organized system of social relationships which embodies certain common values and procedures and meets certain basic needs of society. Landis. Social institutions are formal cultural structures devised to meet basic social needs. Characteristics I. Institutions are the means of controlling individuals. E. Institutions depend upon the collective activities of men. E. The institution has some definite procedures which are formed on the basis of customs and dogmas. IB. Institution is more stable than other means of social control. B. Every institution has some rules which must be compulsorily obeyed by the individual. 5 major institutions in rural sociology are political, educational, economic, family and religion. 1. Political. Government is political institution, administers the regulatory functions of law and order, and maintains security in society. Form of government and its method of working depends on the accepted patterns of behavior in a society. Development work is nowadays a major responsibility of the government. For effective implementation of programs, government may decentralize its functioning by creating local self-government like panchayats at different level. 2. Education is the process of socialization, which begins informally at home and then. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. Formally in educational institutions. Education as an institution helps develop knowledge, skill, attitude and understanding of the people and strive to make them competent members of the society. Education widens the mental horizon of the people and make them receptive to new ideas. 3. Economic. Economy provides basic physical sustenance of the society by meeting the needs for food, shelter, clothing, and other necessary supply and services. Economic institutions include agriculture, industry, marketing, credit and banking system, cooperatives etc. 4. Family is the most basic social institution in a society and is a system of organized relationship involving workable and dependable ways of meeting basic social needs. 5. Religion is belief in supernatural. Religion constitutes a set of beliefs regarding the ultimate power in the universe, the ideal and proper pattern of behavior, and ceremonial ways to expressing these beliefs. Religion also provides a foundation for the mores of the society. Taboos in various cultures have religious sanction. Religion provides a means by which individuals can face crises and ups and downs in life with strength and fortitude. Function 1. Sex regulation. 2. Reproduction and perpetuation of the family and human race. 3. Socialization. 4. Provision of economic maintenance and livelihood in many cultures. 5. Provision of love, affection and security to the individual. 6. Provision of class status to the individual of the family into which he has been born. Definition of family. Family is defined by Burgess and Locke as a group of persons united by the ties of marriage, blood or adoption, constituting a single household, interacting and intercommunicating with each other in their respective social roles of husband and wife, mother and father, son and daughter, brother and sister, creating a common culture. Eliot and Merrill defined the family as the biological social unit composed of husband, wife and children. Characteristics of family. Family is the most universal group. Family is classified based on structure, patriarchal or matriarchal, and residence. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material. JRF mock tests. PDF books etc. 1. Patriarchal family. It is the family where male is the head of family inclusive of powers. He is the owner and administrator of the family property and right. To him all persons living in the family are subordinated. 2. Matriarchal family. The authority vests in the woman head of the family. The male is subordinated to her. She is the owner of property and rules over family. This type of family is said to prevail among the primitive people who led a wandering or hunting life. 3. Based on residence the family is classified as a matrilocal family. In this type of family husband goes to live in the house of his wife. B. Patrilocal family. Wife goes and lives in the house of her husband. 4. Based on the marriage the family is classified as I. Monogamous family, in which man marries one woman only at one time. E. Polygamous family. In this kind of family one man marries many women at one time. E. Polyandrous family. In this kind of family one man marries many women and lives with all of them or each of them alternatively. 5. The family is also classified based on ancestry as follows. I. Matrilineal family. Here woman is believed to be the ancestor of the family. E. Patrilineal family. Here the ancestry continues through the father. 6. Religion is belief in supernatural. Religion constitutes a set of beliefs regarding the ultimate power in the universe, the ideal and proper pattern of behavior and ceremonial ways of expressing these beliefs. Religion also provides a foundation for the laws of the society. Taboos in various cultures have religious sanction. Religion provides a means by which individuals can face crises and ups and downs in life with strength and fortitude. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material. JRF mock tests. PDF books etc. 08. Social organizations. Social organizations. Anderson defined organizations as those classes of human relationship structures wherein people purposefully associate in systematically arranged units to promote and achieve some common purposes or interests that are not specifically expressed in the institution. Each member has a formal status and role. An organization differs from an institution by its focus on a narrowly limited purpose. It is a group of people organized to pursue a specific objective. An institution, on the other hand, pursues broader and more general purposes and is basically a set of socially sanctioned procedures involving pattern behavior, norms and rules. Organizations may operate within institutions, though supporting it and helping to achieve its objective. The form and structure of an organization develops its specialized activity. Rules and regulations for operating, time and place of meetings are formulated and the organization operates as a clearly defined entity having a specific objective with officers and membership. Essential characteristics of organizations. 1. Clearly defined limits. In keeping with a specific purpose and interest, the limits within which an organization operates are clearly defined goals, and activity is polarized around these goals. Organizations may seek new goals to justify their existence and continuation over a long period of time. For instance, the Red Cross Society, born during World War I, modified its function and objectives to meet peacetime needs. Organizations may vary widely in purpose, being created to serve very different interests, such as welfare, music, poetry, religion, etc. The purpose is normally specified in the organization's constitutions and bylaws, which are often legally registered in accordance with prevailing laws and practices. 2. Formal membership, status and role. There are several aspects of membership in an organization. Membership is voluntary and motivated by specialized individual interest. Organizations are almost completely government-sponsored or sanctioned. Direction of these organizations is usually by government officials and membership is compulsory. Organizations that are not under government control are tolerated only if the government feels that their operation is in line with the government interests. Under such circumstances, organizations can rarely be formed as spontaneous expressions of the interests of people in society. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material. JRF mock tests. PDF books etc. Membership may involve restrictive qualifications and certain minimum requirements. These restrictions may be on the basis of sex, talents, interest, occupation, etc. 3. Self-contained administrative structure. Each organization has its own administrative structure with roles and functions clearly defined and prescribed. 4. Operative principles, procedures and goals. All organizations have a carefully stated constitution and bylaws, sometimes required by law, embodying objectives, rules, regulations and operational procedures. 5. Provision for control, authority and decision making. The rules and regulations of an organization define authority, procedure for decision making and measures for maintaining conduct and behavior of members. 6. An outlet for individual interest. An organization enables a group of persons sharing a common interest in society to associate with one another, working together towards realization of their interest. 7. A channel for purposeful action. In fulfilling its goal, an organization may influence social decisions and affect or stimulate social change. Classification of organization. 1. On the basis of political structure within which they are created. 2. On the basis of motives of participation. 3. On the basis of organizational operation. On the basis of admission to membership. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material. JRF mock tests. PDF books etc. 09. Social change. Change is the law of nature. What is today shall be different from what it would be tomorrow. Modern world is a world of rapid change. People too much change and acquire the facility of change. The social structure is also subject to change. Over a period of 50 years the government has changed. Family, religion etc. are also changed. Our understanding of the society will not be complete unless we take into consideration the changeable nature of society. However, differences emerge and discover the direction of change. So let us see what are social change and its characters. Definition. The word change denotes a difference in anything observed over some period of time. Following are some of the definitions. 1. Jones. Social change is a term used to describe variations in or modifications of any aspect of social process, social patterns, social interaction or social organization. 2. Gillen and Gillen. Social changes are variations from the accepted modes of life. Whether due to alteration in geographical conditions, in cultural equipment, composition on the population or ideologies and whether brought about by diffusion or inventions within the group. 3. Davis and McIver. Social change is change in the relationships. Theories of social change. While studying the theories of social change, one should know the theories regarding I, the direction of social change and E, the causes of social change. The direction of social change. Early sociologists viewed the culture of primitive people as completely static. Anthropologists now agree that primitive cultures have undergone changes, although at such a slow pace as to give the impression of being stationary. In recent years, the social change has proceeded at a very rapid rate. Since World War I, numerous countries have passed through profound changes not only in their political institutions but in their class structure, their economic system, their modes of living, etc. Various theories have been advanced to explain the direction of social change. Each of them is described. A theory of deterioration. Some thinkers have identified social change with deterioration. According to them, man originally lived in a perfect state of happiness in a golden age. Subsequently, however, deterioration began to take place with the result man has reached the degeneration. That is why the modern age is called as the age of Kali Yuga, wherein man is. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. False, dishonest, selfish and consequently unhappy. This concept is understandable since we observe deterioration in every walk of life today. Cyclic theory. Some sociologists believe that society has a predetermined life cycle and has birth, growth, maturity and decline. Modern society is in the last stage. It is in its old age. Then the history repeats itself. Society after passing all stages returns to the original stage where the cycle again begins. According to this present, Kaliyug will be over and after that, Satyug will again start, which is the best again in which man will be honest, truthful and perfectly happy. Stage theory. Some thinkers subscribe to the stage theory of social change. According to them, society gradually moves to an even higher state of civilization and that it advances in a linear fashion and in the direction of improvement. Auguste Comte postulated 3 stages of social change, the theological, the metaphysical and the positive. Man has passed the first 2 stages. In the first stage man believed the supernatural powers controlled and designed the world. He advanced gradually from belief to metaphysical stage where man tried to explain by resorting to abstractions. On the 3rd stages of positive stage man considers searching for ultimate causes and seeks the explanatory facts that can be empirically observed. The causes of social change. It has briefed about the direction in which social change has taken place. But none of the above theories strikes the central question of causation of change. Among the causal theories change, the deterministic theory is the most popular. Deterministic theory. According to this theory there are certain forces, social or natural or both, which brings about social change. It is not reason or intellect, but the presence of certain forces and circumstances, which determines the course of social change. Summer and Keller stated that social change is automatically determined by economic factors. Conscious effort has very little effect to change. Social change is essentially unconscious process. Many sociologists held the religion as the chief initiator of social change. The theory of religious determination has been criticized by Sorokin in his contemporary sociological theories. According to him, change is caused by the interaction of various parts of a culture and none of them is considered as primary. It means that change is pluralistic rather than monistic in origin. Factors of social change. Social change has occurred in all societies and in all periods of time. But the rate of change differs from society. In one society the rate is rapid while in another it is slow. There. Visit iratoppers.com. For agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. Are various factors which determine the rate and direction of social change. Some of the factors are biological factors. By biological factors we mean the factors that determine the number, composition, the selection and the hereditary quality of the successive generations. Every human element in society is always changing. If we compare ourselves with our parents, we will know that we are different from them in our makeup, ideas and in most other things. No new generations are an exact replica of the old. Each new generation is a new beginning. The changes in population in both number and composition have effect on society. For example, in a society where the number of girls is greater than the number of male children, one will find out a different system of courtship, marriage and family organization from where the case is reverse. 2. The physical factors. The surface of our planet is never at rest. There are slow geographical changes as well as occasional convulsions of nature in storm, earthquakes and floods. These changes in the physical environment sometimes bring about important changes in society. The flood in India may hasten the birth of model village in place of those which have been washed off, or they may lead to the construction of dams in order to prevent future floods. 3. Technological factors. Technology affects society greatly. A variation in technology causes a variation in some institution or custom. The introduction of machine technology as a result of the discovery of the new sources energy has made such far-reaching consequences that it is often described as a revolution. Invention and discovery are significant characteristics of our age. The present age is often called the age of power, the scientific age. For example, mechanization has changed not only the economic structure of society but also led to a studied evaluation of old forms of social organization and old ideologies. 8. Changes in the production technology. Our attitudes, beliefs and traditions have crumbled before technological advance. Take the familiar example of status of women in industrial age. Industrialism has destroyed the domestic system of production, brought women from the home to the factory and the office and distinguished their earnings. It has meant a new social life for women. Changes in agricultural techniques have affected the rural community. With the invention of new agricultural tools, chemicals and fertilizer, agricultural production has increased and thereby. Visit iratoppers.com. For agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. The standard of living of rural people rose. Fewer people needed for agricultural laborers shifted to cities. B. Changes in the means of communication. The changes in the means of communication have also affected the social life greatly. However, the changes in the means of communication depend upon the production technology. For example, the newspaper and automobile are industrial products that have been made possible by modern technological developments. The primary techniques of communication are speech and gesture, which greatly influences the intimacy and understanding between people of different societies and groups. The press has influenced entertainment, education, politics, and trade. Similarly, radio, telegraph, telephone, television, etc. has influenced the business, public opinion, recreation and furthered the development of new modes of organization. C. Changes in the means of transportation. Transport is the physical consequent of space. The methods and means of transportation determine how easily man can move themselves and easily meet the people of other places or other societies to exchange goods or ideas. Modern man lives so much on wheels. If the wheels are stopped for a single day, the life of modern society would be put out of gears. Transport has broken the barrier to cultural isolation. People who were culturally isolated may under modern means of transportation technology become a host for the entire world. The new transport modes have played significant role as the diffusion of cultural elements. D. Derivative social effects. Invention influences the institution or customs. The influence does not stop there, but continues on and on. For example, the influence of cotton gin in USA was to increase cotton process more quickly with less labor. But cotton cultivation could not be increased without more labor. So additional Negroes were brought from outside and slavery grew very rapidly. The increase in slavery was the second derivative influence of the cotton gin. The increase in slavery led to the Civil War, the third derivative influence of the cotton gin. 8. Social inventions may bring social changes. Technological invention may also give rise to social inventions. Social inventions are inventions that are not materials and not a discovery in natural science. Non-cooperation movement, boycott, representations, old age pensions, juvenile court, civil service. Visit iratoppers.com. For agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books etc. Matrimonial bureau, Rotary and other such clubs are some of the examples of social inventions. So, non-material inventions are social inventions. This social invention brings about social changes. It is quite evident. IB. Cultural factors. The social and cultural factors are so closely interwoven. All cultural changes involve social change. Culture is not something static. Culture gives directions to social behavior. Measures of social chance following are the indicators of social change. I. Nutrition, calories consumed per head, protein consumption quantity, etc. E. Clothing, quantity and quality of cloth used per head. E. House, number of houses for the population. Normally one house should be available for 5 members. IB. Health, number of hospitals, beds, nurses and doctors available per 10,000 populations. V. Education, percentage of children going to school, literacy level, women literacy level. Technical, education facility available at school and colleges, etc. V. Media exposure, number of radio sets, TV sets, cinema seats, newspaper, etc. per 10,000 populations. V. Communication, length of railways, blacktop road, and transport number of vehicles. etc. for 10,000 population and number of post office and maximum distance for the population to walk to the post office. V. Energy, percentage of village and town with electricity, domestic consumption of electricity, number of pump sets in cultivation, etc. X. Proportion of industrial workers. X. Birth and death, decreased trend in both the birth and death is a good indicator of rate society's development. She. Urbanization, proportion of population living in urban area, proportion of population living in slums, etc. Any similar factor can be taken up to study the social changes based upon the nature of the study, its objective, availability of factors, their importance, etc. The success of the researcher depends on how he selects appropriate variables, quantifies them and concludes and changes. Visit iratoppers.com. For Agri. Study material, JRF mock tests, PDF books, etc. 10. Leaders and leadership.